Saturday. We are talking Fulham versus Chelsea, but mainly we're gonna focus on Chelsea just because Rory Jennings is here, and I do want to get his opinion on a few things. The start to the season, normally when the start does go bad, as bad as it has been for Chelsea, 14th in the league, got beat by Aston Villa recently, you do point at the manager. You look at the manager and say, okay, look, all these players have come in and you've spent a lot of money in the window, right? I mean, Caicedo's the big one, but you spent loads of money elsewhere. Who is to blame for it? Is it the board? Is it Toboli going into the dressing room after games? Is it the players? We have to take some responsibility. Is it Mauricio Pochettino? I mean, Chelsea fans weren't that excited when he got the job, but you kind of accepted him. Who's to blame for everything that's going on at the club?
No, do you know what, Addy? This is why it was so important to get the win against Brighton in the week, because there was a sentiment that was starting to build at Stamford Bridge that I think was really destructive. And that is that some Chelsea fans, some big accounts online as well, were starting to question Pochettino. Now, look, I think that we could all have a conversation about Pochettino. How highly do you rate him? How good on the scale of good do you think he is? But I think even those who are detractors of Pochettino will concede that he is a good manager. You know, he's certainly a good enough manager to manage this crop of Chelsea players, but he's certainly been getting some things wrong. Like? For example, he'd been playing Levi Colwill at left-back, playing three left-backs on the pitch against Brighton, by the way, playing Ben Chilwell as a forward winger when we have wingers available on the bench. Basically playing players out of position, playing Enzo Fernandez pretty much as a number 10, playing him so far up the pitch that he has been chronically out of form. Pochettino's been getting some things wrong, no doubt about it. But if you are questioning Pochettino, if you are a Chelsea fan and you believe that sacking Pochettino is the correct strategy, you are so misguided. You are desperately missing the point, because the problem at Chelsea, the reason that we are in the shambles that we are in, and let's face it, a win against Brighton is at best papering over the cracks. The reason that Chelsea are, in my opinion, sleepwalking into a crisis is because of the board. This board, remember, who have spent well over £1 billion, and Mauricio Pochettino, we're losing at home to Aston Villa. We're losing at home to Nottingham Forest. We desperately need a goal. Where do we turn? Who do we bring on? Spent £1 billion. We haven't got a striker to bring on.
Whose fault's that?
That's the ownership's fault.
So you don't think Pochettino has any say in who comes into the club? Like, okay, I don't need Lavia for another 55 million. He can go to Liverpool. Can I spend that money on another forward? You don't think he's got that? Surely Pochettino's got that kind of power.
No, I think that the way that the club is being run is Chelsea is signing players not for the furtherance of the first team. We aren't signing players to improve the first team today.
Business.
It's business. It's a business strategy. For example, if you want to improve the first team today, so this isn't about the player that maybe Moises Caicedo or Romeo Lavia will be in half a decade. Maybe they will be sensational. Maybe they will triple their value. Who knows? If you want to improve Chelsea today, you go and sign Declan Rice, don't you? Or you go and sign maybe James Ward-Prowse. For a player today, you go and sign an answer to a problem today. And Chelsea haven't done that. We have this weird policy of only signing youngsters. We turned down James Maddison. We didn't even bid for James Maddison. We weren't even reckoning for James Maddison because he's too old. Bang on him. He's doing a brilliant job. He's a fantastic footballer who's doing the business today. We weren't in the market for him, because we have this strategy which is all about making sure that Chelsea turn a profit, making sure that the club is going to increase in value. And the way that we do that is to sign young players who they hope will increase in value.
With Poch, and I do want to focus on him because, look, we know Chelsea's history of firing and hiring managers. And you only have to look at the start of the season to know that he's already on thin ice. It's just, unfortunately, the way it is. Not just at Chelsea, just in Premier League football. You look at what you've got coming up, and Chelsea fans, I'm sure you know the fixture list, but this is scary. Obviously, you got Fulham on Monday, then you go to Turf Moor to take on Burnley on Saturday, and they've become must-win games because your next run of games in the league is horrendous. I've not seen anything like it. Arsenal, Spurs, Man City, Newcastle, Brighton, Manchester United, and that's not. You haven't got games in between those, like other soft games. Those are your run of Premier League fixtures. Yeah,
I agree. I think we need to make sure that we take maximum points against Fulham and Burnley, because after that, I don't necessarily think that we definitely get any points until December the 9th. I think there's a run of 7 games where you can see defeat in all.
Let's play that game. Home to Arsenal.
Look, I dream that we win, but realistically, we get beat, don't we?
Spurs away.
Realistically, we get beat.
Man City, we don't have to have a conversation with, do we? Newcastle away, St James's Park.
Realistically, we get beat. I mean, we've got a terrible, tragic record at St James's Park, even in the good times. Even when Jose Mourinho was winning the league at a canter, we were dropping points at St James's Park. So
Brighton at home?
Brighton at home.
Look,
we could be a little bit more robust and get something out of the game. But again, realistically, if you're a neutral having this conversation, you probably say Chelsea get beat against Brighton.
And the final one, United away, Old Trafford.
A point.
Pochettino doesn't survive then. It
isn't Pochettino.
I know it's not Pochettino's fault. I'm with you on the board. I'm with you. You're right. They're making these signings from a business standpoint. But you've always said this to me. They're business owners. They haven't come in as Chelsea fans. They've come in to make some money.
Yes, but the point is, if they sack Pochettino, there isn't a better manager that can come in. And when you think about what they're doing to Pochettino, so look, let's use Callum Hudson-Odoi here as a case study, right? Modric comes in, Callum Hudson-Odoi goes out. We basically gave Callum Hudson-Odoi away for free. I think he went for about 4 million quid.
Yeah.
Modric comes in for 88 million. So say you believe that Modric is a better player than Callum Hudson-Odoi. I've never seen Modric curl one into the top corner the way that I saw Callum Hudson-Odoi do it the other day for Forest, by the way. But let's pretend that you think Modric is better. He's not. You can't think he's £84 million worth of better, can you? So when Chelsea are selling Billy Gilmour for 9 million and bringing in Enzo Fernandez for over 100 million. Look, of course, I think Enzo Fernandez is a better player than Billy Gilmour. I think that Enzo Fernandez will end his career with a lot more significant silverware than Billy Gilmour. But Billy Gilmour isn't worth 9 million when Enzo Fernandez is worth 120 odd million.
But removing the fees for these players, these are good players, no?
They are
Enzo Fernandez, good player.
They are good players, but it's lacking.
Nkunku, good player.
Yes, Adi, but when you build a squad, there is a blend, isn't there? There is a mix and blend that is so necessary. You need to get the harmony in the squad. And Chelsea basically have one 40-year-old at centre-half, one 20, late 20s in Raheem Sterling on the wing, and then everybody else is a child. Like, people go, the average age of the Chelsea team is 23. You're like, yeah, it's 23 because we've got a 40-year-old at the back. Like, what is he? This is a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
Like, it's very difficult to get anything out of it. And then you've given Pochettino one of the most profligate strikers in the league. We are creating chances. I think we've created 28 chances, proper chances. 5 goals.
You know, there'll be fans of other clubs listening to you with small violins right now who have spent 10 million in the window.
Yeah, but you can spend money badly.
There'll be $1 billion. You spent $1 billion. Yeah.
Do you know when I get really annoyed?
And you've given players away. Do you know where players away as well?
Do you know where those fans get really annoyed? When somebody were to ask me, they go, well, how do you solve this Chelsea problem then? I go, well, we need to dip into the transfer market, don't we?
And that's what annoys them the most. Let's take the phone calls. James, Arsenal fan. I'm scared as to what James is going to say here as an Arsenal fan. James, what do you make of Chelsea's problems?
A few points. I think they're in absolute crisis. I can't see when pundits say, they're getting close to scoring. I cannot see them finishing in the top 8. You go through their squad, the recruitment has been awful. Let's take Reece James out of the equation, because I do think he is quality. Not one of their players gets into any of the top 6 squads.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Not even the bench.
Yeah.
Look at Robert Sanchez, couldn't get into the Brighton squad. He lost his place there. Cucurella, terrible. Thiago Silva, too old. Chalobah, not good enough. I don't know what's happened to Chilwell. I know he's injured now, but before he seemed to be out.
Yeah, he's lost his way, but even when he's fit, Chilwell's lost his way. Reece James can't keep fit. He's arguably Chelsea's best player, captain.
Sterling, Man City didn't want him. Modric's been terrible. Jackson isn't a number 9. I can't get my head around the transfer policy. They spent £1 billion. They could have gone and got Bellingham, Rice, Mbappe, Kane, 250 million each.
Because that's not the point, though, James. That's not the point. What you're suggesting there, though, what you're suggesting makes total sense. You're suggesting that Chelsea sign players that will immediately improve the first team. That isn't the methodology. That isn't what they're trying to do. They're trying to amass as much young talent as possible to increase the value of the club.
I play Football Manager, and I know it's not a complete...
Steady here, James. You're going very well until that point. Go on.
None of these players turn out well. They're not going to become good. Cole Palmer is an okay talent, but he's never going to be a 25-goal-a-season striker. They've got all of these players on long
and where's this information come based on? Football Manager? Based off Football Manager? No, I'm joking, James. James, great call. Thank you very much, James.
Do you know what's interesting about what he said there, though? There is something that I totally agree with. There seems to be a lot of puff pieces about Chelsea being written at the moment where people are saying, it's going to come good. We're not as bad as it looks. The XG will tell you that Chelsea are going to score goals. And for me, it just feels like serious waffle. Like, people have concluded that Chelsea are going to do well because we've had a lot of possession against Luton Forest and Bournemouth, so everything's fine. But hang on a minute, it's not fine. Simply having a lot of possession against these teams and not scoring goals is actually... It's actually demonstrating an issue. It's demonstrating a problem. It's demonstrating a crisis.
Do you think you have any world-class players now, currently?
Genuinely world-class.
Genuinely world-class players at Chelsea. For a team that spent $1 billion in 3 windows, do you have any world-class players in your squad?
Well, nobody is in world-class form, so it's very difficult to argue that there are... Like, I think we could have a conversation about, is Reece James world-class when he's fit?
Yeah.
Is Enzo Fernandez potentially world-class?
No. He's not, is he?
No.
Imagine that, $1 billion spent and you have... Basically, maybe a world-class player.
$1 billion spent. In order to demonstrate this point, you go $1 billion spent. Who's your striker? Nicholas Jackson, 30 million quid. Who else? Okay, if he's injured, what happens? Armando Broja. They're our goal scorer. Like, if you're spending $1 billion quid, you want to have somehow bought Mohamed Salah, don't you? You want to have somehow bought Harry Kane.
Osherman.
Yeah, you want to have somehow bought Jude Bellingham.
They've got to beat your club. Yeah, obviously not.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.